Hey guys, it's March 2nd. You know what that means, right? That means tonight at midnight, everyone's getting their Switches. For the most part, people who are actually going to get them are getting their Switches, and I'm excited. You're excited. It's March 2nd. This is Newswave. So while we're on that topic real quick, I want to go over what's going to happen on Friday. I will not be doing... Newswave won't happen on Friday. We're going to skip that day because it's going to be a lot of Switch-related stuff. You will see footage of the unboxing. I will live stream the unboxing at night around midnight, 12:30 or so, I guess, when I get back. And from there, that footage will go up on the channel. So if you miss it, don't worry. It'll be there. You can check it out the morning after. And then expect full teardowns, unboxing of accessories, teardowns of Pro Controllers, Joy-Cons, the whole thing. All that's happening. Check all that out Friday. Might lead into Saturday, depending on how long it takes to edit some of this stuff. But expect all of that footage, and then you'll see some live streaming for Zelda, since that's the big game that I'm going to be playing. You'll see that happening. Should be happening Friday as well. So just keep an eye on the channel. A lot of stuff's going to happen on Friday. So getting into other news, we did get Reggie show up. He showed up at GDC, which is actually interesting, and made a big call or big push for developers to come to the Switch with Unreal Engine 4, just saying, hey, the Switch is easy to move stuff to, and move your games over. They're using Unreal Engine 4. This was an interesting tactic on their part. I don't recall Nintendo really doing this, especially not at the Game Developers Conference. This is different. I think because Unreal is so prevalent there, a lot of people show up there to learn about Unreal, see new projects for Unreal. It makes sense for them to go there and kind of talk about how great the Switch is to port stuff to. If you're a developer, you should look at it. The dev kits are $500. Development time is short. You can just take Unreal Engine 4, move it right over with your stuff with minor tweaks. I think it makes sense for them to do that. It's just interesting to see Reggie just show up randomly at GDC on the screen and just start talking about how easy the Switch is to develop for. This seems to just kind of keep going back to Nintendo, obviously trying to pull developers into the Switch any way they can. This is, I guess, just another way. Go right to the source at GDC. And sticking with GDC, since that's really big right now, the development team for Zelda Breath of the Wild showed up there and started talking about how they developed Zelda Breath of the Wild, kind of going through scrapped ideas, which included things like flying saucers in Breath of the Wild, which was funny, a motorbike, Link, stuff like that. But they also went over one of the key ways they were able to try out ideas in Breath of the Wild was to develop an entire 2D that was kind of also 3D model of Zelda just to try it. And this was like a prototype that they designed that looks very similar to the first Zelda from NES. And what they did was they took that over, they added the physics from Breath of the Wild, but when turned kind of sideways, they showed it actually does have the complex 3D assets and stuff that can also be used in Breath of the Wild. I assume this prototype was just for them to try out different ideas with different items. Maybe they were trying new bombs or arrows or who knows, but it was a really cool idea, and I guess it worked because the game has been talked about as being like the best Zelda game ever played so far by reviewers who were trying to just give us an idea of how good it is. And it just goes to show how creative the minds at Nintendo are to do something like this to then make the game better. It's interesting. They make a 2D Zelda game to make a 3D Zelda game better. Oh, I do want to stress, though, that demo that they showed, the prototype, was actually 3D. It had that 2D look, but when they kind of turned it sideways, you could see it was full 3D. Used chemistry engine or chemistry from Breath of the Wild is what they called it, including physics and everything. And it was just an easy way, I guess, for them to test out ideas in a smaller environment, kind of sectioned off, and just try out all these new ideas. Great idea from them. Who would have thought, 2D, 3D Zelda game looks like the original NES Zelda, helps make Breath of the Wild. Speaking of reviews, a lot of Switch reviews are starting to come out now. Most of the different news outlets are pushing them through. They're trying to give them like temporary scores kind of, because the day one patch, the eShop, the online features, none of that is there right now. And I do think that's going to be a big core component of the system. It's just something we just don't know anything about right now. Nintendo really has told us nothing about even how it's going to look. So the day one patch may also fix the Joy-Con issues, although we're not sure. No actual statement has been put out by Nintendo for that. I hope it does fix it, but if not, I guess we'll have to manage until the eventual firmware patch does come out, if that does indeed fix it. IGN seems to be getting the worst of it because their review, for some weird reason, they put a number on the score on the review, which they shouldn't have. They should have just left it as to their thoughts for it until this day one patch came through, because they gave it like a 6.5. And of course, everyone attacked them on YouTube. Maybe I guess that review score wasn't a good idea, but they have to do something, because for some reason this day and age with reviews, we run on a number scale that seems so weird anyway, because you just kind of make up a number if you really think about it. I mean, what really determines a 9 compared to like an 8.5 or an 8.7? I don't know, but in this case, they gave it a 65. People kind of backlashed, and that's kind of where we are now with these Switch reviews. I think it's a little too early to put a definitive number on the system. If you want to go that route, we have to wait for things like day one patch and anything else for the eShop before you can give it a definitive overall system score. And what is probably the worst kept surprise in all of technology right now, the 1080 Ti was announced at GDC this year. So the 1080 Ti is supposedly promising 35% gains over the regular 1080, but who really knows in real world testing, because again, this is in Nvidia's closed off benchmarks. They have added some other things such as 11 gigs of GDDR5X, which is a ton of video RAM. I mean, that's obviously for 4K, but they've also done things like add a better cooling system. They call it vapor cooling, and that actually helps dissipate the card's heat, and it gives twice the airflow that the original GTX 1080 has. The CEO of Nvidia also briefly mentioned that the 1080 Ti is actually faster than the Titan X, which is a $1,200 video card. He cited the fact that it's kind of hard to buy, and I agree. A $1,200 video card, that's not an easy thing to swallow and buy, obviously, because it's so much money. I mean, $1,200 for a video card or $1,200 for an entire computer build that's high-end. In that sense, the 1080 Ti is retailing currently for $699, which is not bad considering that is the high end at that point. That is the absolute top for consumer grade. Titan X would probably be used more for things like video editing, heavy video editing, I should say. Although if you're a gamer and you just want the top of the line, you could have bought Titan X, but now less money gets you the 1080 Ti and what is supposedly better performance. Also, it looks like the GTX 1080 will get a $100 price drop to $499, which may make it actually the better value depending on what the benchmarks come out to be. So if you were waiting for that GTX 1080 to come down in price, now's your chance. That is now $499. And yesterday, guys, hit back to our roots. The Pokemon Company debuted a new trailer for the movie called I Choose You. That's this summer's new Pokemon movie, and if you were a fan of Pokemon back when it first started in the late 90s, you will probably appreciate this trailer. So the movie, again, is called I Choose You. It is a full-length feature film that is going to cover the initial couple episodes where Ash starts his entire journey that is still going now today. I guess he's still 10 years old, but it's still going today, and it's going to go all the way back to there. New animations. It looks great. It's going to kind of expand on the story. They even have Ho-Oh kind of making a better appearance than before, because now we actually know, obviously, what that bird is. And overall, it looks fun. It looks like it's going to really hit back at the older crowd that was younger then, and more nostalgic, I guess, at that point. But it's pretty cool. Again, this is the first teaser. This is a 20th anniversary film, so it makes sense to jump all the way back for the anniversary. This is the first teaser we've seen. It's supposed to come out sometime this summer. It was hinted at us back in last December that this was going to be a retelling of an old story, so I'm excited to see just an old Pokemon story brought back to new animation, life, and everything. It's going to be cool. That's going to be out sometime this summer. I'll keep you guys updated for when that date actually is. And we finally have a date for Street Fighter on the Switch. Again, that's Ultra Street Fighter 2, the final challengers. That will be coming out May 26th. We also got a price for it, which is going to release at the price of $39.99. Now, despite some of the criticism this game has kind of received for being what is kind of a port of an older game, it does look good. It does have evil Ryu and violent Ken in there in the same game, which is new. It's going to have this interesting first-person view where you do shoot Hadoukens and uppercut and fight people and everything, so I'll at least give it a chance. Obviously, I like Street Fighter. I'm just not very good at it, so this game actually looks kind of fun. It looks like it might be a little more casual with the two separate Joy-Cons you can use, and that actually might make it feel more like the old school Street Fighter from the Super Nintendo, which I actually liked, so that could actually be a lot of fun. It's not bad at $40, considering most of the games obviously are 50 or 60 coming out. It might be worth looking at. May 26th is the date. That could help maybe fill out a month that right now does still need some games. We used to have Mario Kart in April and everything. We'll just see what's coming in May at this point, but at least Street Fighter 2 will be there. So at GDC, we've had a lot of announcements, a lot of different things happening. One of the bigger things that's very interesting for game developers is Tim Sweeney did show up there and said that Unreal Engine, he is, of course, the founder of Epic Games, Unreal Engine has actually doubled their revenue from 2016 and 2015. And this, by his account, is the fact that they went free, so you can actually get the engine, you can design for it, and back in 2015 it was not this way. You could design for it, and then when you release it, the company will take royalties from your game, so it's free to just get it, program, develop, and then when your game actually hits the market and starts making money, they will then take royalties from you, which is a great idea because it gets so many more people in there. Because before you'd have to not only buy the thing, you'd have to pay like a monthly fee and everything, and it was a whole thing. It was definitely less friendly to developers to get in there, and it's good to see that Unreal Engine is just taking off. It's a very good, obviously a very good engine. The Switch uses it, and the computers use it a lot, PC, so it's great to see this taking off. And honestly, if you get in there and use blueprints, it actually is really easy to develop for, surprisingly. And that's it for Newswave today, guys. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know what you think about any of the stuff we talked about here. Maybe you're excited for the 1080 Ti. Maybe you want to get the 1080 Ti, or maybe you want to get the 1080 now that it's dropped in price. Maybe you're excited for the whole thing with the Switch tomorrow. I mean, I know everyone's excited. The Switch is coming out. I'm excited, maybe for different reasons other people, since I'm going to be taking it apart, but I definitely want to play Zelda Breath of the Wild. I think that's the biggest thing going on right now. Maybe you're excited for the Pokemon movie, going back to the roots and doing the retelling the story for Ash and Pikachu. Let me know what you guys think down below. I will see you next time.